All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Time War podcast. I think this is episode 13. Wow, we're already 13 episodes in, man. Um, we're almost at 80 subs. Just need one more sub, guys. So please, I beg, somebody subscribe, also like the video. Um, I have an announcement after if we get to 100 subs. I'm gonna make an announcement, and hopefully you guys will uh, enjoy that if we get to that point. But yeah, okay. So anyway, today we're gonna talk about the Premier League and the two big games that are gonna be played: Liverpool, Everton, Man City, Arsenal, and also we're gonna talk about the Champions League, the two big games that are happening next week: PSG, Man United, and Bayern, Atletico. So yeah, we're just gonna do an analysis on all that today. Um, we might talk about some other stuff like about a Classico or some other like. But we were before we started recording, we were talking about Hazard and how he's not gonna be fit.
Mm.
So, but yeah, we'll see. So yeah, Anish, I'll hand it off to you so we can talk. So go ahead, pick whatever one you want to start with.
Yo, what's up, guys? So once again, timestamps in the description if
Yes,
you
yes,
want to
yes.
skip around and go directly to the topic or the team that you want to hear us discuss.
Mhm.
As always. But we're gonna start with just like briefly discussing the Premier League games. Starting with Manchester City against Arsenal. I mean, this could be quite a challenging game for both teams. We know Man City has a really good record against Arsenal in the league, but of course Arsenal knocked them out of the FA Cup very recently in the summer. And of course Arteta is being pretty impressive with how he's managing the team, and some of us predicted they'd even make top four this season. So, Muntaha, you seem to know a lot about who's available and who's not. So, do you want to get a start about Man City and how they look ahead of this game?
Yeah.
All right, so PM, who's the Man City fan,
PM.
you want to discuss about Man City and what they look like ahead of this game, and what do you think the final results will be, and who's gonna show up in the game?
Honestly, it's worrying times as a City fan, but at the same time, it is Arsenal. Like they can always capitulate, but under Arteta, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's it called? I think Aguero's back in training, right? But it always takes him a month or two to get back full fitness and be sharp again. So I think it's gonna be a difficult game. I think it's gonna be 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see us winning the game, to be honest.
What is the status on Aguero? Is he fully fit, or is he just lacking match fitness?
I'm not saying I work for the club or anything, but he's just
Oh.
back from training after a 6-month injury. So
Mm-hmm.
he's played one game of football, not even one game, 13 minutes of football since March. So he's gonna be really rusty at the start, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it is Aguero, so come back with the bang.
Yeah, he could very well be, and at his best, at least in the past 5-6 years, I'd rate him as the best striker in the league, definitely. And he in this team especially, with Guardiola's coaching and the emphasis on chance creation, he usually feeds off on a lot of the chances and racks up many goals. Him and Sterling as well, who I predict might have a big game against Arsenal's defense.
Yeah,
So.
good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I think one of the keys here is always that Arteta, who's worked under Pep, really knows the system and really knows how to counter it and the weak points, where the weak points are at. And of course, I feel like the main thing, as always, is the counter-attacking threat and that ball over the top to Aubameyang, whose pace can really get in behind the back line and cause a lot of issues. For City, like he did in the FA Cup semi, I believe it was. But of course, City have more weapons and more options, more attacking options, and overall a better team across all departments, midfield and attack especially. And I feel like in this kind of game, it could be a high-scoring game. And City, I feel ultimately will get at least a narrow win, maybe a 3-2 or something like that. Who's home and who's away?
I mean, we're at home and Arsenal away, so it's pretty self-explanatory. That won at our place. It's about to be 5 years now if they didn't win this one, so we'll see. Actually, no,
Yeah.
it's already been over 5 years. It's about to be 6 years. I mean,
Mhm.
So we'll see. But they haven't won like out of top six side like since like we got like that day 2015. So
No,
yeah,
I
we'll
see.
see what happens.
Yeah, I'd add it to City for that. So, Ahmed, do you have anything to say about the game?
Not really. I think it's a pretty like I don't really see. I'm not really too interested in it. Like somewhat. I'm a little bit interested to see how Arsenal are gonna play against. If they're gonna continue their brilliant run of form.
Mhm.
But at the same time, City aren't the City they were, and Arsenal's in a weird spot. So I'm not too interested for this game.
It's kind of an unpredictable one that can go either way. Absolutely. So, Muta, anything to add about the game?
Yeah, with regards to Arsenal, like I have like a kind of like criticism towards like some of the other fans, where they criticize Arteta for being pragmatic against top six sides.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. He's a realist when it comes to face against top six sides, and to be honest, like he's looking at the record where. I think it's Arsenal haven't beaten City something from a long time. I guess that's the record
Mm-hmm.
in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
So he might be looking for that, but still, it's away, and we know that Arsenal away is like a shaky. Still, I mean, Arteta's a great manager, good manager, but I don't think so. Like, still, this team is ready. But there's a like an interesting addition in this Arsenal team, like Thomas Partey, and then you have like Ceballos, then you have Elneny, Mohamed Elneny. So we have to see, man, how this thing will work. But definitely, is going to be a pragmatic. And top of that, City is missing Aguero. I don't think so. Aguero will start because,
Mm-hmm.
as his Pack mentioned, that like his back and like his like rusty and everything. So of course Pep Guardiola won't start, I believe. And by the way, the situation with Gabriel Jesus is like look dicey as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't know like will he start as well or not. So it's pretty much Bernardo Silva and Ferran Torres might be, or so Sterling and Ferran Torres might be.
Mm-hmm.
And Ferran Torres from when I'm watching him in Spain's international duty, I mean that guy is good, but like is not showing up yet. Like so is I mean, this is his first season in Man City, so we have to be also lenient with him. Overall, when I see this City team, I mean, the defense is leaking goals, man. I mean, like they lost to Leicester, then they drew to Leeds United. I mean, now they have to make sure that like they at least clinch 3 points from here, because otherwise, if they again drew or something like that, that's a really crisis situation now. Then in the club, to be honest, especially with regarding to Pep Guardiola. To be honest, like they added Ruben Diaz as well, so that
Mm-hmm.
would be also interesting to see how much difference he can make.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you have to also see it like I mean the guys like it's like just came and like he just played one game, I guess. So I mean, it's quite unfair to let me judge him just based upon 2 games, 3 games. But I mean, this is like a really difficult situation for Man City because right now Liverpool is also looking a bit shaky. So I mean, you have to take advantage of that situation as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, from a tactical standpoint, Man City should win this game, but Arsenal is like I mean like Arteta has like as you said as well, like Arteta has found some kind of recipe to
Yep.
I won't say to beat Pep still, but I said to stop him in a sense like how we say like a troublemaker, and like when we
Mm-hmm.
have like sometimes a kind not kryptonite, but like it's so difficult at times to overcome the hurdle. That's kind of hoodoo I think so. This guy's
Kind of a
much
bogey team.
true. True.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you never know, man. Arsenal can do many great things, and let's see Aubameyang but I still believe like they won't start Nicolas Pepe. Nicolas Pepe has not been
Mm-hmm.
that good, to be honest. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's
like
not
his
efficient.
true, and his price tag has been now questioned. Now you have to question his price tag as well, because how you can spend that much money and then the guy's not showing up. So I mean, that's also another question regarding that. So I think so. Willian will start on the right flank for Arsenal, and then you have Aubameyang
Good
more of
shout.
yeah. So I think that this will be the team, and I believe Saka. To be honest, I mean he's okay for me personally. So I won't say that that's like a really difference maker. But Danny Ceballos have to definitely start this game because you need someone in attack now. You need someone for
Mm-hmm.
the like for looking for the creating those through balls, or long balls because you're playing that pragmatic. And you see what happened against Liverpool, especially So he came up from the bench and he clearly made two differences. By the way, again, we have to see Lacazette. Is Lacazette will be the right person to play in this kind of game? Again, what he did against Liverpool, we know that how many chances he missed. To be honest, like a one-on-one. I mean, that's absolutely criminal to miss that kind of chance.
Mhm.
Look, man, like I'll say that like ultimately it depends upon Man City's will to how much they can throw men forward, depending upon the current crisis of football, because they can't take that much risk as well. Because it's better for Pep again to take draw than rather than going for
Of course.
losing to Arsenal. Yeah, so I think so still Man City can win this game, but it will be really close game or tight game, I should say. Yeah.
Mhm. So like I just have like a couple things to add before we like wrap this up and move on to the next game. So there's like a couple things that can go in the favor of City, and there's also a couple of things that like might go against their favor. And here's the pros. So on the pros side, you're coming off an international break, and what the international break always does, especially in the fall, when teams are just starting to like pick up and the situation is a bit more volatile and unstable than it is in the spring, is that the international breaks can sometimes disrupt and change the momentum. And it also is an opportunity for managers to like analyze tactically the state of their team and to better integrate some of the newer summer signings. In this case, it's a really good test to of the integrity and chemistry between the center back partnership of Laporte and Ruben Diaz. And like it's a really good test, especially for Diaz up against Aubameyang, who's like a very proficient striker. I think he met Thierry Henry's record for Arsenal within 3 seasons or something like that. And he's definitely going to be a threat on the counter attack. And the other thing is that I really like that you mentioned was that like Arteta's will to have a plan B in these big games and play defensive, right? And the fact that Jesus is a doubt and Aguero is also a doubt in this game, if Arsenal incorporate sort of that system where they're sort of sitting back a lot, it can help to nullify City more easily, because when you don't have a striker, that target man in the box, and you're like faced with a deep block, it's very difficult to like break that deep block down. So if I was Arteta, I would set up defensively like very similar to like how they did in the FA Cup game for the most part, especially in the second half. And I would actually play this attack. Play. I don't know what the status is on him, but you can play Ozil as like a number 10, and then you can play like Aubameyang as a striker and Willian as a winger. And I feel like Ozil is like exactly the kind of guy who can create those through ball opportunities and stuff like that. And could create chances on the counter for Aubameyang and Willian to exploit the back line. I feel like that's pretty much it. So it's gonna be a pretty interesting game. And like, does anyone have any other thoughts on it?
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing. It's like Granit Xhaka situation.
Mm-hmm.
When I watched him like playing for so like his pretty good to me, to be honest. When I watched him like his performance against Germany and every big team, I mean that was decent, to be honest. He scored goals as well. So I think so. Granit Xhaka should start instead of Saka, I believe. That's my opinion, because I mean, because you want to play a deep block and like pragmatic approach, then you have Thomas Partey, Xhaka, and then Ceballos. I think that's like a perfect midfield trio, at least for this kind of game where you
Mm-hmm.
have to play a really different, go with defensive approach. So yeah, that's the thing I want to add. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. And the defensive approach, like I said, could really pay dividends
Mm.
because City are missing that striker, that target man, somebody who can cause the chaos in the Arsenal's D. So yeah, like there's things that can really go in the favor of Arsenal right now, but we'll see like how it is. We'll see how City perform at home. I feel this next game is the really crucial one, at least in the early stages of the season, and it's a really good test for both of the teams in the different situations they're in right now. That's Liverpool away to Everton. And
Ah,
this is like a really interesting game to talk about, and like I feel like honestly, historically this isn't the case, but the way the teams are playing right now and the fact that they both have elite managers, this game could really go either way. Like James Rodriguez is doing bits in the league, giving pretty much every team Everton have faced, he's giving them issues, asking questions, getting stat padding, goals, assists, all that. So Everton have, managed nil draws pretty much. Um throughout, like, for like the last couple of seasons against Liverpool at home. So for their standards against like a top team, that's a really positive result. Liverpool themselves haven't been at their best. There's like a lack of squad rotation, which I feel like over the years, when like there's lack of squad depth, fatigue can accumulate. But more importantly for right now, the COVID issues and the fact that like they still have players missing. Couple that with the Everton's form and the fact that they have like a really good attack and that Ancelotti's like figuring this team out and getting them to score goals and that they have a lot of momentum going into this game and they're playing at home. Everton can nick a goal or two in this game. I can see that. And like my prediction is a 1-1, but Everton might just sneak the win. So what are your guys' thoughts on it? Let's start with Muta.
Okay, so for me, like when I see like Liverpool players like they just came from like for example Sadio Mane, I think so from COVID-19. I think so his negative now. I mean he recovered
Mhm.
completely. So I think so that's not the issue for them. I think so you have likes of Thiago Alcantara. I think so even he's back. I think so. Yeah,
Mhm.
so he recovered as well. So you have a great addition, but again, this is like Everton away and it's like a Merseyside derby. So I mean, you have to also make sure that like when you play this kind of derbies, where you have to. It's not about how good players, how many great players or good players can play for you. It's how many fit players, how fit, how sharp, how mentally like tough, ready players you have right now. That's the thing because and as if you said like coming back from an international break, which is another kind of challenge,
Mhm.
and to immediately start your domestic leagues and everything. So it's like it's just a sort of challenge as well. And top of that, that's why many teams prefer to play the easy game once they come from international break.
Mhm.
So I mean, with Liverpool, I mean this is difficult, man, because if you see right, like there's one statistic regarding Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the guy is a striker of Everton,
Mhm.
where I think so he scored the most number of goals from head in Europe this season.
Mhm.
I mean, okay, still there's a 4 or 5 games like he played, but still he scored I think 5 goals from heading, something like that, and he's like one of the top scorers if I'm not wrong in Premier League. Yeah, so he's like a joint top scorer with Son. So,
Mhm.
so I mean that guy's like on great, scoring form. So we have to also, give the benefit of doubt. Like, I mean, there's Everton might look for an early goal, something like that against Liverpool to make them
Mhm.
panic and then sit back and then punish them what the way Leicester did to be sorry, Aston Villa did. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, this team is good. This team is, and one more thing, like people are not talking about this game is like this Everton compared to last season, Everton is like two different teams, to be honest. And the reason you can see that is like whenever they play, they know exactly where they are, like where they can find each other. For example, right,
Mhm.
like the coordination,
Chemistry.
their chemistry. Yep, that's the right word.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's really at highest level if you see right, and the way Ancelotti, what do you call, he mixed and blend the midfield as well with Alan, and then you have like likes of. Hammers, who's playing right wing on paper, but he drops deep and more comes more centrally, in a
Mhm.
sense, to act as a conductor AM at a time to that would be like a difficult task for Liverpool in terms of I mean because you have one more extra like really skillful guy who loves to take shots, who loves to arrive late inside the box,
Mhm.
so that's a challenge because I don't think so. This game is more about Robertson, to be honest. Andrew
Mhm.
Robertson is like I don't think so. He had that big role to play in this game personally for me. And when
Mhm.
I see that, I think so. Liverpool, the advantage Liverpool have over here is that they can allow freedom for Robertson to move forward. Because when I see Hammers, the way he plays, he arrives late inside the box. So I mean, he's not more of a winger. So there's no wing threat on the right flank
Mhm. Yep.
for Liverpool against Liverpool. Like for Liverpool, they don't have to worry. But on the immediately on the Trent Arnold side is like you have Richarlison, where even but that guy's like pacey and like he likes to cut inside again and his
Mhm.
shots are pretty decent as well. So man, that guy's like a, to be honest, for me personally, is a bigger difference maker than Dominic Calvert-Lewin and James Rodriguez for me. I think
Mm-hmm.
so. I think that guy is a big difference maker in this kind of games
Mm-hmm.
because he has to expose, not to expose, but in a sense use the advantage of trend defensive flaws, and you never know. There might be Gomez who'll start next to
Mm-hmm.
Van Dijk again. That's the question because
Big question.
we don't. Yeah, because if it's Fabinho, then how ready what do you call it, Henderson is like for playing this game again because he's coming from international duty as well. If he's ready fully fit, then yeah, then who will play DM? Then you have Naby Keita or like I mean for me Liverpool right now they have to answer more questions than Everton in this game,
Yeah. Yep.
and and for Liverpool they have to understand right like what they did last season is that they win or they drew at least these kind of games last season. For example, away games, some of the away games they win most of the other games. I mean, the reason is that you have to nick this game to kill the title race. The question was to
Mm-hmm.
kill the title race. If Liverpool don't win or drew, for example, they drew the game over here. I mean, then titles the season is long. Then I mean, still Liverpool will be the favorite team to win the Premier League, but the season is long for them. Like they have to really grind it, some of the results, dig deep. And for me personally, if they lose right back to back games. I mean
Oof.
that's like a blow to the confidence, I believe. I think so. If that happened, then we have to discuss, man, who can win the Prem. Then it's not that's not sure that Liverpool can win the Prem. But if they
Yeah.
beat
Mm-hmm.
Everton or they drew Everton, even if they drew Everton, I think they're still favorites. So I mean,
Yep.
overall, let's see. It's a tactical masterclass. And by the way, Ancelotti have better record against
100%. Yep.
Klopp. So we have to make sure that as well. So most probably, I see this game Liverpool drawing this game for me. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
Same.
yeah, I think that.
1-1 for me. How about you?
Yeah, I think so. It's 1-1. Yeah, kind of
Mm-hmm.
1-1.
Ahmed, what are your thoughts?
Amen.
Um, yeah. So like, I mean, I just have like some quick thoughts myself. So let's talk about like you said, like the team that has to answer more questions and the team that's surrounded by uncertainty more so is Liverpool rather than Everton, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big concerns, especially after the Aston Villa game, is the high line that Klopp uses and the way Aston Villa exposed that. So, like Solemn said previously, like they might resort back to having a deeper line and a slightly more conservative approach. And the thing is, for this game, yes, it's Everton. Yes, on paper they're better than Everton, but like they should still hold a much deeper line, for obvious reasons. And one of the most obvious reasons is the passing ability of James Rodriguez, especially in counterattacking situations. He's actually at his best. He's a very good playmaker, and he's really good at giving through balls. Like see his performance against Poland at the World Cup, and many for Real Madrid that I don't have to tell you about. And also like you mentioned Everton's striker and like how he has a very good record this season so far. And one of the big reasons is not just his acumen as a beast in the air, but also the fact that James is a very, very underrated crosser of the ball, both in terms of traditional crosses and
Mm.
in swingers. And that's a really big reason why like Everton's attackers are scoring lots of goals and headers this season. So from that standpoint, I really think like it's important for Liverpool to come with a defensive plan for this game and a plan of containing James. If Thiago is to be deployed, he's sort of like a doubt for the game. But if he is to be deployed, that midfield battle between Thiago and James could be one of the highlights of the Premier League season because of the season Thiago's coming off from and the season that James is having now. Two
Mm-hmm.
very informed players going at it. I feel like it could be like an electric midfield battle, to be honest, and like we'll see who comes out on top.
Can I,
The-
Definitely.
My,
But
my, my only
mhm,
fear with this thing, right? Like if you see the guy Jota, the new
mhm,
addition to the Liverpool squad. So I mean, he scored twice against for Portugal. So I mean, the guy's in a very hot form, and now
mhm.
Mane is back. So I mean, who you will start against Everton over there? Because that's a really good question. Because if Jota is like in really good form or like a red hot form, and it's that Mane just came back. So I mean, I still believe that Klopp will start, Jota over Mane, because if he did that, I think that's tactically that's a right. That's a, from management perspective, that's a right decision, to be honest. Not tactical, sorry, management perspective.
Mhm.
Because his form and everything is there. But again, Mane could be a difference maker in the second half, so he might
Off the
come
bench,
from the
yep.
bench. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean that would be a really good thing, and Everton's full left back Lucas Digne. I mean that guy is
Mhm.
like, I mean I saw his assist as well against
Man.
Croatia for Mbappe, and like the Pogba's through. I mean even his good form, to be honest, he was really good against Croatia as a
Mhm.
fullback. So I mean Everton's have some weapons as well to hurt Liverpool, and especially the
Mhm.
left flank of Liverpool, where they're a bit sketchy right now as for the current situation of Gomez as well. And for me, the one thing, I'm like, Liverpool have a chance to nick this game and win it, like take this to 3 points. Everton defense, because like they are conceding goals. It's not like
Mhm.
they're not conceding. Like for example, like okay, they concede 2 goals against Brighton. I mean, like you can see it, right? I mean, Brighton attack is not that like I mean, dangerous attack in Prem where they like threat more of the team. So I mean, when I see the defensive record of Everton, that's a bit like surprising to me, because they conceded like 5, 6 goals, something like that. So yeah, so I mean Liverpool have a chance to score goals as well. So I think this
Mhm.
could be high end game, high end draw, something like that. Some 2-2 could
Definitely.
could also be the results. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's it.
Can I ask you guys
Hundred
one thing?
percent. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I know for sure if Salim was there, he would have asked you immediately. What about the fact that Adrian is there instead of Allison?
That's a really, really good point. That's a really, really good point,
Because
dude.
who
And
knows, bro? James can like anyone can shoot from outside the box and it could lead to a
Mhm.
goal. Anything can happen with him in goal.
and the quick headers, right? The quick headers. So like it's a really good. I mean, they're gonna test Adrian's reflexes.
Mhm.
Definitely, like because, like if Everton, a lot of Everton's goals are like coming from the air. Hamas in swingers and crosses. Like and then the subsequent headers. Like into the corner and into the top left. It could really like be a stern test for Adrian, and
Mhm.
we'll see like how good his reflexes are as a goalkeeper, or lack thereof, how bad his reflexes are, whichever way you
Yep.
want to look at it. So it could be a game where he's exposed again. Absolutely, I think like Solid like probably was right in that area. So last I'm gonna go to Pack before we move on to our next topic.
Yeah, like on Adrian, like he's always had like decent reflex, but, like just a
Mm-hmm.
shot stopping and like overall goalkeeping's like been the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the derby, I think this is the best chance Everton have had since probably like 2018 to win a derby. It's like, I remember like the second leg between City and Liverpool, where it was like the Merseyside derby and like Liverpool like rested a ton of players. I think it was under Sam Allardyce. Like they
Mm-hmm.
came close to winning that one, but like this is probably the best chance they have since.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I don't think they're gonna win. I think Liverpool are gonna win 2-0. But like if they do win, it's a statement. It's putting a big marker down.
Do you think Adrian is gonna keep a clean sheet?
Who knows? But like at the same time, look, Everton haven't scored against Liverpool for like what 3-4 years now. So I think the last goal they scored at Goodison against Liverpool was like Romelu Lukaku over 5 years ago, Ben Rogers' last game. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
This
Mm.
could very well end up as a nil-nil draw as usual. Like I mean, we're saying that there might
Yeah,
be
we've had
goals
like
in
nil
it,
nils for like the past like
Yeah,
3 seasons.
but
it's
if
one of
there
the
was to be a
dullest.
goal, wait, hang, 1 second, if there was to be a goal, I think the team that scores first is gonna get a really big boost for the rest of the game. But Ahmed, like, speak on your point.
I mean, just very briefly, because I know we want to get to the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Merseyside Derby is always a dead shit game, like 9 times out of
Hundred
10.
percent.
I mean
Like it's
that's
why.
also like Liverpool been dominant though. Like it's not because it's been like a bad game.
No, no,
Like
no.
the what's
Well,
called the 3-1 like at Anfield in 2017 was a decent game. I thought.
yeah, exactly. You have to go back to 2017 for
Mm-hmm.
teams that play at least twice a year. You'd expect something better. Like for
True.
example,
Like even like the 1-0 like it was like in 2018 like near the back end of 2018 like I was not a bad game. Liverpool won in the end.
I mean,
In
it still
Anfield,
wasn't. I mean, even
Yeah.
their nil-nils, especially at Goodison Park, those have been very
yeah,
at least to me, boring
yeah.
and dead games. Like and
True.
in
Yeah,
terms
like the
of
one like this like
rivalries,
the one last summer, yeah, was pretty bad.
yeah, it's
Even
probably
though
like one of
Evan
the.
hit the post, but yeah.
Okay, but so I'm hesitant to get my hopes too high up, but I feel like if James Rodriguez isn't controlled by Liverpool,
Mm-hmm.
then Everton's gonna run rampant, and I don't think Liverpool have the midfield to contain.
I
James
disagree. I think
Rodriguez.
if Henderson, Fabinho are there, like they can contain anyone.
But Henderson won't be there, will he?
Yeah, he will.
Oh, he will.
Is he not fit?
I thought he was. I was under the impression that he wasn't, but
No, like,
maybe
I didn't
he
sign at
is.
the last game. Like I heard that he'll be back.
Yeah, his fit actually.
Oh, okay. Well, then, my prediction is as per usual a draw, but hopefully a score draw, like 2-2.
I have a feeling it's
The-
going to be a
the-
high
yeah.
score. I think
I'll take 2-2 as well, as long as Liverpool don't score 2 goals.
I mean, the thing is that like I don't think Everton's attack and just their overall game plan has been this proactive in a really long time. And I mean, like, and that could be. I mean, of course, like they want to make it difficult for Liverpool and play ugly, and prevent them from scoring at their home ground as always. But I feel
True,
like
yeah.
this is kind of a different version of Everton that we've seen like in past seasons, and perhaps that could contribute to a better, more entertaining game.
Yeah,
like,
and not to
that's
mention,
the only hope.
and not to mention above that, the implications that this game has. I think it's a type of Groundhog Day for both teams. For Liverpool, it's how you're going to respond after being thumped 7-2 by Aston Villa. For Everton, it's you've done well in your first 4 games, and it's like the first real major test. I know they beat Tottenham, but this is their first major. This is a different caliber of a test. So I think we're going to learn a lot about these two teams in that 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I have a feeling this is going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know why.
Yeah, dude, Everton are playing really good football after a long time. So I mean, you could be right,
Would
and I
you-
think all of us are hoping for that.
Would you be
To be honest,
surprised if...
now it's a real test. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mutas, fine.
Yeah, to be honest, this is a real test for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I mean,
Yes.
this is like, see, like how good of a poacher you are, because some of the people they're saying like he's the best poacher right now in Europe. So I mean, especially.
I mean, he's been pretty consistent for like 2 years. Like, but he's been like right off form start the season.
Yep. So we have to again see it now this time. I mean, because let's see my statistics. I mean, all those stats are like supporting him. So let's see how it goes. Because like for me personally, I mean, if Liverpool plays Joe Gomez over there, and then you have Trent, I mean, and we don't know, man. I mean, because Everton have Richarlison on the flank as well, and then I mean, this is really good.
At the same time, like he's never scored against Liverpool, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Dude,
dude, that's true. Yeah.
The smartest and unconventional decision that
I
Klopp could make
could
actually.
have said my say because he scored against him like Anfield. Sorry to interrupt. Like he scored against him at Anfield last year, but like I could have seen it scored against him. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
continue.
smartest and most unconventional decision that he can make because of the threat of like all of Everton's attackers, especially the unpredictable nature of Richarlison, is actually to play Fabinho instead of Gomez to partner Van Dijk. And I think we did talk about that last time. It is unconventional. Like, I mean, it might not fully work, but the thing is, Fabinho 1v1 is a lot better than like most of the available center backs that Liverpool have, especially when it comes to containing Richarlison.
By the way, Richarlison also have a personal battle with Van Dijk. So last season he committed a lot, So that's like more of a mind games he played, like. But still, I mean, so that's also interesting to say, a fight to see in the game. So let's go. Let's see how it will be like set up. For me, I still believe this will be a like high scoring draw. 2-2, yeah, I think so. I want to change my position because I said earlier 1-1, so I think it's 2-2. Yeah.
But wait, one more thing before we go to Champions League. Would you be surprised if it was an I mean, I'm sure you would be surprised, but like another 5 or 6 against them?
Like the way Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Strangely,
I mean,
no.
if that happens,
Go on, guys.
sorry.
Yeah, considering like sorry, I continue. Yeah.
Yeah, if that happens, like I mean, you have to question Klopp. But to be honest, I cannot see that happening because I think so. Klopp will play like a mid block again. He won't play high line.
I mean, not to mention, even if Everton simply just win, forget 5 or 6, if they just win, I think that's enough to send shockwaves across the Premier League. Because this match is oddly enough going to set the tempo for 2 different teams' entire seasons. For like I said, for Everton, they're just trying to prove themselves. For Liverpool, it's bouncing back. So I think this game's I would put this as the most important game of the Premier League season so far.
For sure.
The most unboring match day, when you consider the Arsenal City as well.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, I know some people would put City Leicester as the more important game, but I think this time, like the Merseyside derby is definitely the biggest game of the Premier League.
Yeah, to add on to that point of like, can Everton like score 5 past them? Considering they've only scored 5 past them in like the past 6-7 years, like in total, combined all derbies, I don't think it's gonna happen. But if they do win the game, even like like you said that they haven't won a derby like in over a decade now. It's about to be a decade, so yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
and I'll
one more
send
thing.
shockwaves either way.
Mhm.
And we'll
And one
do.
more thing, like for example, if Everton loses, like to Liverpool when Liverpool's playing away, I mean that could stall their purple patch, or people will start saying, oh look,
Mhm.
that was a purple patch for Everton. So even Everton has like some questions as well. It's not like Everton is not under pressure; they are also heavily under pressure because you know what happens, right? When teams are in in a great form, a great run, and once they get a kind of defeat or something like that, so they derail their form and never
Mhm.
know, man. So that might hamper the season as well. So I mean, they wanted at least a draw from this kind of game
Hundred percent.
to maintain their run. Yeah.
And we'll definitely
And
do
like right after an international break is actually like sort of like a proper time for that. You know, when like things can change and the momentum can change and everything.
and
You know.
definitely we can do
Mm.
a post match analysis of both games as well,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah,
sure.
we could. We could.
So yeah.
If only it wasn't so early for us. It's 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast for.
I mean, I'm not gonna be awake for it.
Hell
Same.
no. On a Saturday? Hell no.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess we can go to Champions League now.
100%. And this is the thing that like I was more excited to discuss. So I'm just gonna like leave the floor open for a while, but I'll just do sort of I did a coin flip actually to see like which game to talk about because they're both exciting. But I think the one that I'm personally looking forward to the most is PSG versus Man United, and
Same.
this is a pretty big game for Neymar. In some ways, I know it's a group stage game and doesn't really mean much in the long run, and PSG definitely is gonna finish top of the group regardless of what happens. But um the fact that like the narrative is this, right, that he wasn't there 2 seasons ago when like PSG got knocked out by United. He personally might want to prove something, and like want to prove that things would have been different if he was there. I think there's definitely is kind of like a rivalry because many PSG fans, and I feel this as well. The penalty that Man United got awarded at the end of the game was very harsh. I know technically under the new handball rules established after that season, I mean it was a handball, but like I think it was a really harsh decision. It was a really harsh decision to make, and I don't think that was a penalty, to be honest. But yeah, like so, Munta, starting with you, what are you expecting ahead of this game?
I mean, I like to be honest, PSG is looking for that revenge, 110%, like you can call it 110 million%, whatever the number is. I mean, PSG cannot come at least with 3-0. Like that should be the target, to be honest. I mean, you cannot. I mean, what United did, to be honest, and what happened, right? I don't want to like talk about that, but like still, that's unfair. I believe with PSG, what happened at the 98 minutes, something like that, with the Rashford thingy. I mean, penalties and everything. So for me, I mean, still PSG is looking for that kind of like they're upset. And let's see, man, because for me, I think so. Man United right now they're in the shambles. What happened with Harry Maguire and what happened, like the kind of tackles he attempted in the Nations League, which is quite surprising. You can see that, I mean, he's still like frustrated and like he can
Oh,
feel the pressure,
100%.
Yeah, yeah, and the fans and the social media is getting under his skin. You can see it like in all those kind of pressure, the way he's reacting, and I mean, what happens as well, like in his personal life as well. So I mean, this is like a really, I mean, difficult game for them, to be honest. And Mbappe is in red hot form when I watch him for France, and then you have likes of Neymar, and then PSG for me, I think so. They didn't change that much compared to last season. As like when I see the squad, like squad depth and like how many new players they signed, so it's pretty much the same team aside from they added Florenzi as a right back. So I mean, okay, that's decent, I'll say. But again, Man United attack because like they added like Cavani, so there's another addition you have like so Cavani to play against his ex team. So that's also like a surprising element and really a great narrative to see from the game from that standpoint. And I mean, for me personally, I think some Man United doesn't stand chance. At least on paper, it doesn't stand chance what's happening right now with them. So especially what happens against Spurs. I mean, PSG can easily like dethroned them. I mean, by 3 goals or plus
Mm.
something like that, 3-1, 4-1. You never know. I mean, that's highly likely for me. So yeah, so I
Mm.
believe this is really interesting to watch personally for me. And
Yes.
by the way, last narrative, yeah. I mean, United
Mm.
fans like they're pushing really hard for this, right? Mbappe versus Rashford. So let's see how good is Rashford.
Mm. Yep,
Um,
100,000%. That is
Um,
something I wanted. That battle is something I'm really looking forward to.
and
So
Di Maria against his former club again.
yeah, Ahmed, what do you think about the game?
Well, it's home for PSG, correct?
Hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
PSG and Parc des Princes.
yeah. I think this is for PSG. It's about revenge and about obviously you want to start off the Champions League on the right foot. For Manchester United, it's how bad can it get? And I think that
Hmm.
night we'll see just how bad it can get for Manchester United.
Hmm.
Because if I'm not well, I know I'm not mistaken about this. That's the first game of a very very tough run in for Manchester United in their schedule. So for United, I wouldn't say this game isn't important for the group positioning because for United, every point is going to count when you have Leipzig in your group and PSG.
Hmm.
So obviously they're going to go for the draw because that's the only thing they can really get, I think, away from home. But
Hmm.
I think that for PSG and all the narratives that you mentioned, you have the Mbappe agenda, you have the Di Maria against United agenda, you have the Cavani against his former club. I
Hmm.
just don't see how United, a club that's so discombobulated that they can just come into the Champions League and perform against PSG, who
Hmm.
even PSG we've seen in the past, they have poor seasons and they get knocked out in the most embarrassing ways. They always do good in the group stage. Not to mention how good they did last season. Last season, what they won 5 games and drew just one when they were down 2-0 to us under very
Hmm.
extreme circumstances. So I don't see how United can do anything. If anything, I feel like this is gonna be an embarrassment. And the only reason I would watch this game is just to see how embarrassing it can be.
Hmm.
I'm very intrigued how many PSG win by, and that's
100%.
the hope.
Hmm.
Because if United pull a result out of their ass, which I don't think they will, that's gonna be a big deal to spur them forward. If they get slapped 3 or 4-0, that's really gonna kill a Champions League dream.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say dream. I would say dream of
Fantasy.
fantasy of getting out the group.
Like, what dream are you talking about? Like,
I mean getting out the group, not winning it, obviously.
true, that's about
Not
as
gonna
far as
win.
they can get. To be fair,
Yeah, well, I mean, getting out the group is possible because I mean,
Hmm.
you don't know how good Leipzig are going to be, which Leipzig play Istanbul at the same time. So if PSG slap up United and Leipzig win against Istanbul,
Hmm.
that's immediate extreme pressure on United to perform. And I don't know if they can cope with that pressure.
Hmm.
So I'm not I'm very this is I think this is the one game that's not only just exciting on paper for the two teams, just to see how bad PSG can win by, but also for the whole group standings. Because like some of the other games like Bayern, Atletico, those groups are more straightforward. It's just about the game. And then you have some games like Dortmund, Lazio, where it might not be as entertaining, but it's important for their group positioning. So this game is definitely the biggest of the match day. I think, not definitely, but I think it's the biggest.
I think it is too, dude, and I'm really curious to see like if PSG were to win, how much they'd win by, because that's a really that's actually quite a big question, and actually one of the biggest questions going into this game. And another thing I'd like to point out is that you did a really good thing by mentioning the fixture congestion and the difficult fixture lists piling up for Manchester United. They don't have a very easy game on the weekend leading up to this Champions League game. Like Newcastle away on paper, might not be that great. But if you think about it, Newcastle did beat them in this fixture last season. And like the state that they're in now, that's not an easy game. So if they come away from that with a bad result, immediately after the international break, it could really set the tone for a very bad loss against PSG on Tuesday. Really bad loss against PSG on Tuesday. So, Pact, give us your thoughts on Man United versus PSG, and then I'll go back to Mutada to talk about Kylian Mbappe. So, Pact, what do you think about the game?
I mean, if they play like anything like they did against Tottenham like 2 weeks ago, would get out of it without conceding 10. So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it could be an end game. Like, but I don't think like because like what's called in 2019 when they played, like you got to remember it was Buffon and goal, and like they also had Neymar out as well, like you mentioned earlier. So like with Neymar, Mbappe, and like everyone else fully fit, and like with proper goalkeeper there as well, I don't see any like way United win the game. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
see, I'm going with 3-1 Paris.
I like it. I mean, that's a really simple, straight to the point, and like a pretty straightforward analysis. So, Muntaha, I know you love Mbappe. We have our banter, but I really like Mbappe. Where do you think Tuchel should place him to most clinically and efficiently exploit Manchester United's defense? Like, what is the place in that back four that he should attack, like right from the bat?
For me, like from right from the back for Man United, right? I mean, which
Mm-hmm.
area he should target?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I mean, the way he started against, I mean, against Leipzig, the way they played, the way they set up Neymar
Mm-hmm.
false nine, that has to be the thing. Neymar should
Mm-hmm.
be false nine, left wing kind of inside forward for Mbappe role. Give him a freedom to make early runs as well. So that's a really threatening for Man United, because I cannot see how Harry Maguire can track Mbappe's run. To be honest, if he plays, I don't think so. He should start. I think so. He should not start. Me personally, this kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
And Mbappe is like threatening. I mean, he's cutting inside. He's taking shots. I mean, if you see against Croatia, I mean, he missed the chance as well in the 14th minute, I guess, something like that. Really easy sitter, yes, but after that he came back. He came back stronger. I mean, he was clinical against that goal. If you watched Lucas Digne, like I mean, like I gave him a kind of like a square ball in the final third, which he was on spot. He can see the runs. I mean, for me, I think Mbappe should play left forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best position. And to be honest, when I see the combination between him and Neymar, that's like one of the most frightening thing for Man
Mm-hmm.
United. And people are like, I mean, they are more. For example, the United fans, I would say that specifically, where they said like when Bissaka is a really good defender, so I mean his defensive skill will be tested again for this game. So I think so. This is a really interesting match. I mean, Mbappe, I don't know why I can see Mbappe is with the brace this game,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a really interesting game for Mbappe, to be honest, and he's doing really good for France as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I really liked the answers you said, and that leads me really well into the tactical, little bit of a tactical like insight into this game, and comparing it to the last game. And there are some very key differences. What made United successful in the last game. You could talk about the individual errors of PSG, which they will look to get at once again. Because that's really one of their biggest hopes for getting a result is individual mistakes and counterattacking situations. But the main reason I feel like from a United standpoint why they won the previous match was because they were very tight and compact defensively, and they didn't give PSG much space to exploit. And since then, it's kind of changed. Against Tottenham, they went down to 10 men, but they were still stretched out. And that's a really worrying sign. Like, typically when teams like go down a man, they immediately like sit in two banks of four and sit very compact and just look for like balls over the top, or just, like throw balls here and there to, counter and like potentially get a goal. But the real emphasis is on sitting tight and stopping the opposition from scoring. But that didn't happen this time against Spurs. Like, they still played very open, and there was a lot of space between the lines and in between, the positions of the defenders in that back four. And the key thing is this: when you're playing against a team like PSG, who might very well use a false nine system with Neymar in that role, and you're facing a team with that much attacking talent of like a Neymar in false nine and Mbappe, Di Maria sort of as inside forwards. The thing is, in that situation, you would especially want to be compact. Like the more compact you are against a false nine and talented attack that PSG have, the better it is for you. But from going off the Spurs game, there is a worrying lack of compactness in United's defense, and that will only aid PSG more in creating chances. So I think here's what's going to happen. Like, and this is kind of like a wild prediction, and like a lot of things are like variable in this, and and a few changes here and there could result in a totally different game. But leading up to based on everything that's happened leading up to this game and how these teams are looking and what their objectives are, the fact that PSG is at home and United is away, and this is at the end of the day a group stage game rather than a knockout game, I see it going like this. Maguire's going to start. And I have a very strong feeling he'll start because Ole, I don't think, has the guile, the balls, and the tactical acuteness to, like select him out of a
Lack
starting
of
position.
tactical fortitude.
100%.
Mhm.
So Maguire's going to start. PSG, like Mata said, they're gonna like attack right from the get go with Mbappe and Di Maria playing as sort of inside forwards, attacking not only the fullbacks but also the center backs. Neymar's gonna try and create chaos in the hole, and like because of the immediate pressure, what's gonna happen is, especially if United don't get a good result against Newcastle, and the pressure he'll be under, Maguire's gonna commit too many errors early on. And whether or not this leads to a goal remains to be seen, but he's going to be sent off fairly early in the game.
Maguire?
And I think that will create a kind of chaos in the remaining players left on the field. And I don't think there's going to be I don't think Ole's going to anticipate this once again. And I think United will be more as disorganized as ever, I should say. And my final score line is either a 4-0 or a 5-1 to PSG. I know that's a pretty sort of bold prediction, but that is actually what I'm going for.
I was gonna
Well,
say
I
five.
think
I was gonna say
the
5-1
only
as well.
the only problem that I think PSG have is Icardi. I think we talked about this in last season at length. From the beginning of the season to the end of the season, that was always the main topic of contention. He needs he's I'm not gonna say he's been a flop, but he hasn't been doing that well at PSG. Like since the first couple months, we saw him in later stages of the Champions League. He wasn't doing anything. It was like PSG were playing with 10 men at
Okay.
times against some of these teams.
Mhm.
So I feel like his lack of finishing could be the only thing that spares United from an absolute embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
So I
No,
think PSG are gonna win 4-0.
actually, I was
Mhm.
just want to respond to Ahmed's point. But Ahmed made really interesting point over there with Icardi's situation. I don't think so. Icardi is a bad striker or bad number nine, I should say. No, that's not the problem. The problem is if you see the amount of talent PSG's front three have, the way the football they play. I mean, it's like for example Neymar, Mbappe, and you have Di Maria, for example, and then from bench you have Pablo Sarabia. I mean, these guys are really technically like proficient on the ball and like the way they play in terms of more flashy way. Where Icardi is like a more stationary player inside the box. When I mean that, like when I mean he's not that mobile. But like for outside of the box, Icardi was never known as a player who can play as a striker who's dropping deep as well, doing some kind of like helping the teams in the build-up phase. No, no, Icardi is never known as for that. Icardi is known as for like a box merchant, if I say that technical that word, with how to define Icardi. So, I mean, I think it's more of a PSG's recruitment policy
You think it's a bad
where
fit?
I mean, yes, when I see from a perspective of the way PSG front three plays, to be honest.
Hmm.
So it's a bad fit, but like, but for example, if you put Icardi in teams like Man United again, for example, that guy's like a really good because Man United need a striker, to be honest, to who can really be in that position to score goals. So I mean, that's a really good addition for a team like Man United. But PSG, I mean, they don't actually like to play with the proper number nine role since Cavani left. So I mean,
Yes, I
I
mean,
mean, even in the like final days of Cavani, they don't like to play Cavani because he's not that mobile. And like with Cavani, there was another problems as well with finishing as well. But Icardi, I think so. He's good. He's not the right fit for PSG.
yeah, Icardi is definitely well, I just at this time was definitely the better finisher than Cavani, but in terms of mobility, dribbling, or even just getting open, I don't know if you guys watched the
No,
French
Ahmed,
Cup final last season. I know
Ahmed, that's
we
the
don't
key.
expect him to be a good dribbler, but the thing is, it was just it just didn't work at all. He wasn't clicking at all. He was even when he'd get chances, he'd screw them up. The few
No,
chances
like,
he'd get, he
but this
would
is the
screw
thing,
up.
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed. Ahmed, for example, right? When you see Icardi, right, playing for Inter Milan, the Inter Milan setup, for example, under Spalletti, this was like
Mhm.
the entire team was to feed Icardi. Over here, the system is not like that. Like for Icardi, like why should PSG take initiatives to mold their system or their team to feed Icardi? That's not how PSG plays, to be honest. If they want to play like that, they'll play for Neymar or Mbappe, for example, mostly
Yeah,
Mbappe.
but
So
I'm not
so
I'm not calling him a shit player. I'm just talking the way it is because right now he's at PSG, and that's what matters. How he's playing at PSG, which I think has been very subpar. You can blame the system, you can blame him. It's just been subpar, and that's the reality. And I don't think PSG can really rely on him
mhm.
even against United.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true, man. We can rely on Icardi to be honest in this game. But I think so after this game, right? For example, this is the first game, opening game. So I don't think they will start Icardi. But like later on, they have to play 5 more games, well, 4 more games, excluding one more United game. So it's like they can experiment against Leipzig to be honest to play Icardi over there. So
Istanbul.
for me overall, yeah, even I agree. Like Icardi should not start this game. And one more thing with regarding to United. Where do you play Pogba and Bruno? And for example, if you're starting Bruno, then how you can fit Van de Beek in the system, for example. If you want to start him, like I cannot see Pogba, Bruno, and Van de Beek starting
Mhm.
at the same time
Mhm.
for United. So there should be like some place for or some kind of role for Van de Beek. It might be from bench, why he should be a bench player for this current United side for Bruno Fernandes. I don't understand. I mean, you need because I mean I think so. When the Beek should start some of the games as well, you have to accommodate
Mhm.
when the Beek's position as well. Because for me, I believe when the Beek and Bruno Fernandes actually right now they're clashing, with the position.
Mhm.
So
They are.
again, the question is for United, why you went with the Van de Beek signing when you have like player like Bruno. I mean, when the Beek cannot like I still I see a kind of problem over there for when the Beek and in the dressing room where he might disagree with Ole. You cannot bench him because he's a really good player in a sense. He's not a bench caliber player to be honest. So you need to give him some playing time. So I mean, how you accommodate him against PSG, it's I don't know, man. Like, yeah. So again, that's the question. So I think so. Fred and Pogba should start. I don't think
Mhm.
that McTominay should start this game as well. No, McTominay should not start this game. So you go with double pivot, McTominay and Pogba. I believe that's the best one you have right now.
As potent a goal threat and efficient in the final third as Bruno Fernandes has been in recent months for United standards and for United, I still say for this game, if between all the number 10s that they have available, Van de Beek is the best option. And why do I say that? It's pretty simple. He has better work rate than the other two. He has better work rate than Pogba and Bruno
Mhm.
Fernandes defensively, and they're gonna need a lot of that for this game. And one of the key things that I want to see definitely like a key rematch from the previous Champions League clash between these two is the midfield battle between Verratti and Pogba. And given like the ups and downs that these two have gone, like undergone in the past 2 or 3 years or so, how do you see that turning out? How do you see that turning out? Like how do you guys see that turning out? Matas, you start.
Okay, so for me, I mean, I think so. Uh, PSG is playing on the front foot. Let's be honest,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
Yep,
So
100%.
when I saw Paredes as well for Argentina, I mean, it was okay. I'll say he's doing job. He's doing job. So there. So I think Paredes. Then you have Verratti next to him, and then you have might be Idrissa Gueye or someone like that over there to accommodate like a more of a support for for Verratti defensively. I think so. It's time for Verratti to shine over here over Pogba.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is what I cannot ask. Look, I'm not giving excuse for Pogba again because if you see for France the way he showed up, the reason Pogba shows up for France is the talent next to him as well. Let's
Mm-hmm.
not deny that as well. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you see Rabiot, the way he caters Pogba as well, then you
Yep.
have many other players. I mean, you can see when Kamavinga and Pogba, I mean, they came on subbed on from the bench. I mean, against Croatia, I mean, they made difference. I mean, and you can see uh, Pogba's like. I mean, for me personally, when I see United plays, right, look at France. The only difference is look at the Pogba is giving the balls. To be honest, but I think there's no one to make that intelligent run. For example, whenever we see in football, right? Oh, this midfielder is giving the ball, but why he's losing the ball? We say, oh, that's a loose pass. No, actually, it wasn't a loose pass. That was a run to be made, which attacker, or I should say, attacker didn't notice, or he didn't have understanding of that kind of ball. For example. So when I see Pogba playing that kind of football, it excites me. Okay, he's giving those balls now. But when I see him with United, it looks so dull. And it's up to Pogba as well because his work rate has been drastically low. I know he came back from injury again, but I believe, it's been a long time now. I think it was a 3 months break, 2 months break as well for United. I mean, and then he should show up now. And for me personally, I think so. Verratti have upper hand over here. So from what I have seen from Verratti last season, Verratti cannot say anything what happened last season when PSG reached Champions League final. Your contribution was not there. For me personally, I don't think so. There's Verratti's great contribution, for example, for PSG reaching Champions League final.
He was injured for most of it, anyways.
Exactly. So I mean, he needs to prove as well. So I mean, I see Verratti have upper hand over here in this game than Pogba. But again, if United wants to win this game, they have to be clinical enough. And Rashford, let's see, Rashford, Martial, these guys, and then you have Cavani. One more thing I forgot to add over there, Alexis. I mean, that guy is a new signing for Man United as well, as a left back. So I believe he should start with Luke Shaw as a left back. So that might actually make difference for attacking threat for United, counter-attacking threat for United. I still believe that, PSG and Verratti, I think they will take care of Pogba's and your Bruno Fernandes.
So Ahmed and Pact. So Ahmed, you first, and then Pact. What are your thoughts on the midfield battle and Man United's midfield issues more specifically?
Well, Muntaha's right about Verratti wasn't that much of a contributing factor when it comes to that deep Champions League run, but at the same time he wasn't poor. It's not like Pogba right now. We all can admit Pogba has not been playing to the standard that he should be playing at. So if it's isolated individually, you look at Pogba, you look at Verratti. Verratti definitely has the advantage. I know like you said, Muntaha, he wasn't that great or that influential in their Champions League run, but he was still there, and he was still, well, not even there for all of it, but when he was there, he wasn't poor. It was never, whenever they played badly, when they lost the final, he was never the talking point of failure. It was never about Verratti. I'll give him credit about that. Pogba has had negative performances. They haven't just been neutral performances. They've been negative. And if you look at the midfield in general, you look at like Marquinhos, you look at Herrera, you look at some of the other players that PSG have. You compare that to Manchester United. Sure, Bruno Fernandes, like you said, Voss has been, he's arguably saved Ole's job last season. He's been great, but how far can that take them? They don't have an organized structural midfield. We just said it yourself. Van der Beek. We don't know how they're gonna fit Van der Beek, Pogba, and Bruno Fernandes in the same lineup. We don't know if they will. Their midfield doesn't have cohesion. They play their midfield play like a Sunday League team, and they defend probably like worse than a Sunday League team. But their midfield just doesn't have the cohesion. For a layman comparison, PSG is that semi, if you want to look at a lower level, it's like that team that plays together regularly. The midfield of friends that always play football together. And Newcastle United, it's like the people that met for the first time. They're trying to play a competitive game together, and it just doesn't work like that. And I don't think Ole is the manager that can make it work. So I think that midfield battle is definitely going to be in PSG's favor. Not to mention, if they want to press United, they can definitely do it.
So, Pact, any thoughts on Pogba and Man United and PSG's midfield?
Easier. I'll just say something quick while Pac is.
Yeah. So one last thing that I'd like to say about this topic, this is a game, and specifically directed towards the Glazers and Woodward. This is the game potentially that can show the importance of having a good controller in your midfield. a natural controller in your midfield. You know, we're living in the postmodern era, specifically a post Pirlo era, where you know the number 6 position is actually like the most important position in the midfield. You know, because your number 6, either some teams like to play with the defensive 6 to cover up and you know sort of shepherd the back 4, and some people like to play with more of a regista who can dictate and control the game. Verratti, of course, being the latter. But another thing that he has with him, in addition to passing accuracy and dictating tempo, is his dribbling ability. You know, he's a very good like forget about his achievements and whether he's shown up or not, but intrinsically and like all round pound for pound, he's a very complete central midfield player. Um, and Ahmed was actually spot on because in the final against Bayern, when Thiago was having the game of his life, literally, and really controlling that game and giving Bayern so much impetus in the midfield, PSG sorely missed a player, not necessarily Verratti himself, but at least you could say of the characteristics of someone like a Verratti or a Modric, or if you want to go all the way back, Xavi or Pirlo, somebody who can get a foothold of the game, play smart passes, play make, you know, dictate those things that we associate with top class midfielders. You can't get that out of a number 10. You can't get that out of a hard-working number 8 like Henderson. You can't even get that out of a good box to box like Pogba.
They have, by
You
the
know.
way, they have Anish, by the way, that kind
Yeah,
of
I was just
player.
gonna say, say something about Pogba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
So
like you talk
like,
about. Sorry, I
mhm.
continue.
Yeah, no, like Pac, go ahead, go ahead, Pogba. Yeah.
Because yeah, you were saying you talk about Vardy versus Pogba like a couple minutes back, right? I looked
Mm-hmm.
this up like a couple minutes ago, and it's actually very interesting. The only two games United have won in the Champions League knockout stage since 2011. Well, a Van Persie hat trick like the 3-1 in Paris, and that's since 2011. That's almost a decade at this point. The other three games Pogba played that season, they all lost. And like, what's the common denominator? It's not hard to tell, is it?
I mean, yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's not a good that's not a good record to have, regardless of the other variables. But I mean, that is a
For
pretty
for
damning
supposed
record.
elite club, yeah.
Mhm. I mean, like Fred, to be honest, had a pretty good game, like away to Paris and winning that. And, I mean, like, and Pogba, of course, missed it because he thoroughly got outplayed by Verratti in the midfield in the previous game, and at the end got sent off. So,
He got himself sent off, yeah.
yeah. So, like, I mean, like, could we see the same thing again on Tuesday? I'd say it's pretty likely. I'd say it's pretty likely because more so than anybody on that pitch, uh, Parisian or Manchester. You know,
United.
Verratti is the yeah,
oh my god.
Verratti is the one player, you know, from both sides who better than anyone else like can dictate and control the game, and he has pretty good work rate as well. So yeah, any other thoughts on this game? And like, does anybody want to like touch on any other points like defense, etc.? Let's start with Muntaha.
For me, I mean, I'm a bit worried with the Paris defense. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm being honest, Kimpembe is doing good, but like, where you play Marquinhos now? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's a really good question. If you
Mm-hmm.
see right, the last season he played more of a DM like than a center back. Now again, you want to switch him to the center back position because you don't have Thiago Silva anymore. So that's like a really worried part for me as like when like for example, from perspective of PSG. I mean, if you play him as a DM, that's good for a dominating game. To be honest, for me personally. Then again, if you move him to a center back position, who will be that kind of DM who's supplying balls to your
Mm-hmm.
front three as well? So I don't know, man. Will PSG go with a three midfield option or two midfield option? I think the
Mm-hmm.
PSG might go with two midfield instead of three
Mm-hmm.
because they might go with 4-3-4, 4-3, 4-3, 3-4-1-2, some kind of formation that they use, a weird formation from this guy. I mean, Tuchel. So
Imagine Tuchel pulls
that's the
up the
question.
4-2-2-2 again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's highly likely to be honest, because they don't have a DM if Marquinhos plays as a centre back now. So I mean, that's again because they have Idrissa Gueye. I don't think Idrissa Gueye is GM now. Is another box to box for me. So who do you have as a DM, proper DM then? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
no
again
one.
a
Yeah.
question.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one more thing I just want to add, right? Because you were touching on the topics like midfielder, like number
Mhm.
6, right? Man, you have no, that kind of number 6, and his name is Fred. He'll give you those kind of sublime passes. Don't worry.
All
He'll
right.
give yeah.
So, like, going back to PSG's last two games, I think you guys made the exact call. You hit the nail because, like, on paper it's a 4-4-2, but on the ground it's more of a 4-2-4. Tuchel's been starting Draxler. He started Icardi in each of the last two games. He's also started Mbappe and Neymar next to them. So it looks like potentially that front four, probably Di Maria takes Draxler's place. And yeah, you're right. It is sort of like a double pivot sort of system with Paredes and Verratti starting. So I think that could be the setup that they use against United, highly likely. And I don't think Bernat will play. I mean, of course, I don't know what's going to happen after the international break, but in the last two games, Bakar has started as the left back for PSG next to the other defenders in Marquinhos, who has gone back to center back, as you said, Kimpembe and Florenzi, the new signing. So it looks like that's going to be the 11 that they roll with. It's a very attacking 11, high risk, but potentially high reward as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So any last thoughts, Packed on the?
I mean, I think everything that needs to be said has already been said, at least
Mhm.
at least from my point. So
Yeah,
I
like
have
I'd
nothing
agree.
to.
Like me as well. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the other really, really like unpredictable big game like that's gonna be there. I think at least I think it's pretty unpredictable. Bayern Munich at home against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday. This is a really exciting game. This is a really exciting game. But I think the first point that I want to touch on is Partey, and I want to ask each of you, what is the impact of missing Partey in this game, because we know who's going to start that number 10 position for Bayern and who would have been neutralized by Partey in theory, at least, had he been there and available for Atletico Madrid right now. So, Muta, like, what is going to be the impact of Partey's loss, and what answers will Atletico Madrid have to neutralizing Thomas Muller? Because they have answers out wide to neutralize Bayern's wingers. Do they have an answer for Thomas Muller in this game? What do you think?
For me, I think so. Yes, they have.
Mm-hmm.
When I see first, like, I'll respond to Partey's question. Like, Partey, let's be really honest to ourselves, okay? Ante is a really good player. Okay, again, he could DM, he can play box box, very versatile. The midfielder you have, but still, I've never seen him like. Okay, for example, Liverpool away, he was really good. Then a few games here and then in Madrid derby, he's like insane as well. So Partey's role is really big for teams like where they love to attack you from get go. Sorry, from playing from the back. So what Partey does is usually he's a part of double pivot. He's never been a sole what do you call DM or for Atleti. So when I see Atleti, the way they work, that if you see Atletico Madrid as a team, they work in a dual. Like for example, you have front two, like two people. Like for example, Diego Costa or used to be Griezmann. Then like you have like this kind of partnership. Atleti. Then from the right you have like your right midfielder, right back. They are really doing partnership thing. When it comes to defense. So when I see Partey, yes, on an individual scale, it's a miss. But as a collective, it's not that big miss because they have a players like Hector Herrera who can replace him over there if they want to. They have even Koke. Koke is more of a attacking minded than Saul, but he knows how to play that. So I believe Saul and Hector Herrera can do a job. And for me, what I see is like this game, Saul is the perfect man for me to go on Thomas Partey because that guy played left back, right back, center back as well, DM, CM, box to box, AM. I mean that guy's like super versatile for Atletico Madrid and like a great servant of the club as well. So I think so. I think so. He will be the guy who'll deal the job of marking Thomas Muller. And one more addition to this Atletico Madrid's team, which is Luis Suarez again. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we have to touch on that subject as well. So I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Saul and Hector Herrera would do a job.
You don't think Torreira will play there?
Hmm?
Do you
Torreira?
think? Yeah.
Torreira, I mean, for me, it's too early for him to start. I mean, because whenever I see Simeone, right,
Hmm.
to start players, like for me, him and Klopp, like they don't immediately give chance. For example, okay, he has given chance to Luis Suarez, but Luis Suarez is
I mean, he
the
knows he's
proven guy in
established
La Liga.
already.
Yep. So I mean, there's no question even for Luis Suarez. But when I see with Torreira, I think so. He needs time. He needs to learn defending because even if you see Marcos Llorente when he joined last season, I mean, Atletico Madrid, he didn't get this, get go from every game he's playing. No, he was establishing him. Then later on, he realized, okay, it's better for Llorente to be more on the attacking side than a defensive minded player. So I think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Torreira would start. I think Hector Herrera and Saul might start. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So, Ahmed, what do you think the impact of? Do you agree with Mutab? What do you think the impact of no Thomas Partey will be on Atletico, if any?
Honestly, I don't think it's gonna have that much of an impact. I know,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, time's gonna tell how they see in the Champions League and La Liga, but Partey has always been a good player. But the way that
Mm-hmm.
Atletico Madrid play, I feel like they don't necessarily need him the way that some people are hyping it up as. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big loss either way, just because they lost him unexpectedly, like right at the end of the transfer window. But
Mm-hmm.
they have other players, as Muntaha was mentioned. He mentioned Herrera. He mentioned different players that could play in that position for Atletico Madrid. Not to mention Simeone. He typically, he's typically obviously a defensive manager, but he can sometimes play in different ways. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily keep the same structure for every single game. And honestly, I would be intrigued to see if maybe just for like the last 20 minutes of the game, we can see a front three instead of the typical front two, a front three of Felix, Suarez, and Costa. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe I'm asking too much out of Simeone, but I want to see how they play together against a team like Bayern Munich. And then from Bayern Munich, obviously they're the favorites. It's at home, but Atleti is never a team that that's easily beatable. In fact, I'm pretty sure. What year was it? Atleti beat Munich. I mean, I know you remember it better than me.
2016. I mean, they beat them in the semifinal in 2016, but they also beat them and topped the group against Bayern in the beginning of the 16-17 season as well.
Yeah, so obviously, Atleti is they're underdogs in this game, but they're not massive
Mm-hmm.
underdogs compared to Bayern
Mm-hmm.
Munich. And Atleti, they're kind of a wild card. They're not a super wild card. They're not like certain teams that you never know how they're gonna show up, but they don't necessarily play in one way all the time. And honestly, for me, this is I wouldn't say a dead game, but it's less exciting than United PSG simply for the fact that I think it's pretty straightforward that these two teams are gonna finish top two in their group, unlike
Mm-hmm.
the PSG United game. So I don't think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a very dull and boring game for me
Mm-hmm.
personally. Maybe in
Mm-hmm.
in the one the Metropolitano it'll be a more interesting match, but I think it's gonna be a dull and boring 1-0 or 0-0 type game.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good prediction, actually. That's a really good prediction. I think like this is going to be for me to for us to talk about, and for people who are really like detail oriented and into tactics. This is a fantastic game to analyze, but it's not going to be the greatest game to watch because it's Atletico Madrid. I mean, it is what it is. So packed. Like, do you think the impact of what do you think the impact of Partey is, if any? All
Mr.
right, so
Mr.
well, like,
Mouse.
hmm?
No, nothing. Sorry.
No, yeah. So we'll move on to like another like topic, dude. So, Mutai, you said that Saul is going to move into that double pivot role and sort of like to sort of shield that back line with Koke, who played in the last game in the double pivot next to Thomas against Villarreal. So I agree with that. Like you can take anybody, you can put Marcus Llorente there too. I think the real key for Atletico Madrid is they should start, the front two of Suarez and João Felix, who's quite pacey up front against Bayern's high back line. But I think a real key for them could be starting Carrasco as a left midfielder. I think that could make a really, really big difference for Atletico
Can I?
Madrid in this
Mhm.
game.
Can I respond to that? Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
for me, like Diogo Simeone, we know that like how he likes to play. And so top of that, he's playing on Allianz Arena. Sorry, yeah. So I mean, will he take that risk? Again, that's a question. Will he play? What's his name? Sorry, Carrasco, Yannick Carrasco over there. I still doubt. To be honest, this is a really good question because we know how Simeone like doesn't want to take a risk. I mean, he just wants to win the game with minimal risk. Again, I mean, with the form of Bayern Munich has been high line, everything. Tactically, yes, he should start Carrasco. For me personally, yes. But when I'm Simeone, when I see from his perspective again, do I really need to? What if I get a 1 point from this game? Let me get the 1 point, like instead of going for three. Why need to be, greedy to go for the three, which is really another difficult task. And when I see Atleti, like the difference between Atletico Madrid in the group stage and Atletico Madrid in the elimination round is, I believe Atletico in the group stage is like the most complacent team I've seen.
Yeah.
Like like they don't want to risk that. They don't want to put that much world rate unnecessarily. I mean, what they do is that they preserve as much as energy they can for the elimination round, the knockout rounds, you can say it. So I think so. I don't think so. He will start Carrasco. He'll preserve him, and again, he might start Ankle Korea with or Vitolo. I mean, Vitolo is like another offensive option with defensive mindset. That kind of player he is. So I mean, he might do that. Then again, will Luis Suarez start again? Because for me, I believe that for this game, he doesn't have to take that much risk again. So it might be Diego Costa to do like a shit house over there. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
So
I,
go ahead.
I think
Go
Voss
ahead.
made a very good point because I've forgotten all about Carrasco because I don't know if you guys remember the Atletico Barcelona game from last season, the 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Carrasco was the main troublemaker. He's playing that left midfield position. He was the one
1000%.
making the runs deep in the field. And for a team like Munich who plays such a high line, I would be very interested to see how much trouble Carrasco could do on the wing, and especially if he has Suarez or Costa to cross into, with maybe Felix, in behind for support. You never know. Like it could be a
No, but
really good game for Atleti's
Ahmed, I
attack.
understand. I understand. Like if this would be elimination round or knockout stages, right? I would have like thought about that. But this is a group stage again, and the season is really long, and he's playing. So I mean, we know how Diogo Simeone wants to set up for these kind of games. I mean, look, I mean, he have a point over there as well. If you see, if he goes defensive with this and try to get just 1 point, so it's better it's coming something with rather than nothing. What happens, right? If Atleti take risk again, I mean, Bayern is like dangerous team on top of that. So I mean, they need some time. I mean, what happens right before the international break as well? Atleti dropping 4 points back to back. During 2 games. I mean, that's also we have to understand from that perspective as well. So I mean, for neutral fans, I mean, for people like us, I mean, that's a really good job.
Well,
You start Carrasco, but I don't think so. You start Carrasco.
well, I mean,
That's
if
my
we're talking
prediction.
about if we're talking about a form perspective, wasn't it Bayern Munich that got lubricated by Hoffenheim not too long ago?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't think form is gonna be such an indicating factor of this game. But you know you're right, Munta. I don't think he will do it. But I would love to see Carrasco, and I think if he was playing for the win, that would be the most sensible option. It was to play with Carrasco.
For me personally, again, I'm thinking, I mean, this guy, João Felix, coming from the back, like from the international break, he might use Angel Correa as a number 10 over there because his work rate is immense. He's
Really
better
good.
work rate than
Really good.
uh, than than João Felix. So I mean, he might use that kind of. I mean, he wants to trouble at Atletico. He wants to be the pain in ass. When we say as a layman term, of Bayern Munich. So I think that would be the setup. That's my prediction actually. So the game, I believe. My God, this is difficult to be honest. I mean, when I mean difficult means I cannot see more than 1-0 win to Bayern or 1-1, 0-0. I think so. It will be 1-1. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it will be yes 1-1. I'll go with 1-1.
This won't happen, but I know you did mention complacency from Atletico Madrid and risk taking. And from an Atletico Madrid standpoint, like it is like sort of a precaution to think about going into this game, and this is something they don't want to happen. The one time they really got blitzed in the group stage by a team, and this might be playing in the back of Simeone's minds because it was at a very similar stage of the group stages, and at that point in time, in the 18-19 season, I think in their first game of the group stage, like they had to travel away to Dortmund and lost 4-0 there because of the. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Like I mean, like for either team, but like it was a very big lesson for him to be precautious. Like their last visit to Germany didn't
And
end
if
great.
I'm not mistaken, you just to clarify something, was that the season that they went down to the Europa League,
No, it was the season
or was that
after
a different
that.
season?
Yeah,
Season
yeah,
after that. Okay.
yeah. The season where they lost to Juve in the round 16. Yep.
Hmm.
So, um, from a Bayern Munich standpoint, like one of the really key players out on the pitch today, or on Wednesday rather, Lucas Hernandez, who I want to single out. So Lucas Hernandez is going to be playing up against like his former team. Most likely, he's gonna go up into an individual battle with either Suarez or Costa, like depending on who's playing and who comes off the bench at what time. So, like, how crucial do you think like Lucas Hernandez is gonna be like against Atletico Madrid? And also another thing, Alaba. I don't really think we're going to see much of Alaba this season because of the conflict he's having directly with the club and his whole contract situation and everything. So, like, and the problem with Alaba and the fact that Alaba's missing is he was Bayern's best defender like last season. And a bigger reason for that is of course the high line, and he's really pacey. So when played as a center back, he had the recovery runs to intercept that ball before serious questions were being asked. And I think his conflict with the club and him not always being there, I think like you're starting to see cracks in that Bayern defense. Like Ahmed pointed out, they lost 4-1 to Hoffenheim. Their game against Hertha Berlin at the Allianz was not far from convincing. 3-3, and then it was 4-3 in the stoppage time, like thanks to Lewandowski. So I don't think Atletico Madrid has that many goals in them, even though they're a much better team than Hoffenheim and Hertha Berlin. But the way that they play, and this was pointed out by people like off air as well. Similar to like I know it's not a knockout stage game, but similar to what they did against Liverpool on a schematic and tactical level, like they're by nature a team that can give Bayern Munich issues. So I think like they're gonna ask some questions of that defense. They're gonna ask some questions of Bayern Munich's back
Well,
line. So yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. What do you think?
You look at another La Liga team. Look at Sevilla and all the problems
Mm-hmm.
they gave Munich.
Mm-hmm.
Munich Munich struggled to break down Sevilla.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a real struggle. I mean, they couldn't score in the whole, was it 30 over 30 minutes from the score of one, and then they couldn't even score a second in regulation. And obviously, Sevilla, they're good defensively, but Atleti is the team renowned for their defending. And obviously, they defend differently. They sit further back than Sevilla does. Sevilla were always a threat on the counter, more so maybe than Atletico. But I think if Simeone plays his cards right, they can create a very similar game to what Lopetegui did.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lopetegui, he did
Mm-hmm.
everything right. I mean, I know they lost the final, but Lopetegui did everything he could do right. And I think if
Mm-hmm.
Simeone does something similar, Bayern Munich could really struggle to break down Atletico Madrid.
Mm-hmm. The one.
Which I agree with actually,
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed. I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but like when I see like Atletico, sorry, sorry, the Sevilla played against Bayern. I mean, they targeted the left side of right side of the Bayern Munich as well, which was a really interesting performance by Lucas Ocampos. So I mean, let's see, man, because when I see, I mean, will this guy, what was his name, Hansi Flick, will they like again take a risk of playing Lucas Hernandez as a left back? Because what I believe is that Lucas Hernandez should be playing left centre back. That's me personally. So if you give me that, I will be really like interested, and like, it'll be interesting to see how Lucas Hernandez can play as a left centre back, because we know he's really good, and David Alaba on the flanks as a left back. So yeah, I want to see that personally, and to break down again Atleti, the difference is they missed Thiago Alcantara for there against Sevilla. So let's see how they play against Atletico Madrid. Can they break them down? So that's again a
I mean,
question. Good question.
if Simeone can replicate, something similar to what Lopetegui did against Bayern Munich, they have the more clinical finishers. They have Suarez, Costa, and you can put Joao Felix even as more
Hmm.
clinical, I'd say, than maybe Nasleri was for Sevilla, and as well as Carrasco and the rest of the Atletico team. So Atleti could really hurt Bayern Munich. And being the reigning champions, I think a lot of people are gonna be looking at this game as somewhat of a blueprint. Because if it ends 0-0 or if Atletico even pull a victory, this is gonna be the game people look at. Kind of like how people looked at how Atletico beat Liverpool, and you saw Wolves kind of model it after. You saw Chelsea. You saw who else was it? Wolves, Chelsea. Well, those are the two teams that really beat uh, Liverpool right after Atleti did, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like this could be a very similar type of game. Obviously, it's just the group stage, and I feel like both teams are going to make it through. So it's not that high stakes of a game, though, to be honest.
It's not, and I feel like one thing that Bayern could potentially do is, like that would in theory, really like trouble Atletico Madrid is hard to, it's just like we talked about with PSG and United, immediate pressure, really intricate play, very precise passing, and like very very high intensity to try and score before Atletico Madrid do. But again, like people have said, especially Ahmed has hit on it a couple of times, it's only a group stage game. And Bayern probably won't be at that intensity. Another thing is the midfield battle, right? Let's talk about Mark Roca. Long term, he's a good option to replace Thiago. As of right now, and despite his La Liga experience against Atletico Madrid, I don't think he's fully ready yet for this. And what do you think, Muta? Like, who do you think is going to win the midfield battle? Because Liverpool last season, like they had more of the possession, but technically, like if you watch the game, Atletico Madrid sort of like sort of overran them in those areas. So like I mean, and Sevilla also caused them problems. So does Simeone have a template, and like can Atletico Madrid counter well and create opportunities for themselves?
Yeah. So for me, like when I see Atleti again in this game, I cannot see they are dominating the midfield again, double pivot versus. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like Goretzka, Kimmich, and you have might be they start Marco Kar if
Mm-hmm.
they want to do it. If not, then I think the Thomas Muller will be the
Muller
guy.
for me, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I still believe that like the position, everything will be in the favor of Bayern. So that's not even
100%.
like discussion. But who will use the position most?
Mm-hmm.
I still lean towards Bayern Munich, to be honest, again for
Mm-hmm.
you, because they know like how to use the position, take shots, more efficiently, I'll say. Because I cannot see Atleticos going for that kind of mindset where they say so early of this season and trying to dominate midfield. When I mean dominate midfield, it's not like position, but in a sense using the midfield battle. I cannot see that. I think that Atletico will be on the back foot, man, from first minute. I cannot see doing that. So I think so. Bayern Munich will win the midfield battle, and they will
Mm-hmm.
use the ball better than Atletico Madrid's midfield is. Yeah.
I definitely agree. Um, Taking everything into consideration, let's do predictions now. Taking everything into consideration, right? The last time these two teams met, in a big game in the knockout stage game, what it really was, I feel like Bayern really dominated that like 2-1 win against Atletico Madrid, even though Atletico were the team to go through ultimately. A big reason for that is that Muller didn't play the first leg. He played the second leg. Yes, he missed the penalty, but his presence and his unpredictable like off the ball movement gave them a lot of issues. And that I feel comes intrinsically from him. it's not really something that's trained, and it's not really something that like is so heavily practiced, and that like he perfected like through just training over and over again. Of course, like yes, as a footballer he has to train, but I feel with him it's sort of intrinsic, and it's his own like intelligence to make those runs and create a chaos over there. So I feel like Gnabry is not really in the best form. This is like a really like maybe an unpopular opinion, but I don't think Sane is going to be a massive hit with Bayern. I don't think he's going to be a massive hit with Bayern like what people are predicting. So I feel like this is the way the game's going to go. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be like a kind of a challenging game for both teams. Atletico Madrid are going to get chances. Bayern are definitely going to create chances. I feel Atletico will lock up Bayern in the wide areas. I really think they do. As hard as that like potentially will be. But the thing is, like, because of Muller's individual skill and his unpredictable nature, I feel like Bayern can get something from him, because of like something he does, in the middle to sort of disrupt, the compact shape of Atletico Madrid. And I feel like they're gonna get some chances there, and I think they're gonna score. Potentially, Lewandowski might get one. Coming off a really great season, I think I'm leaning towards a 1-0 to Bayern Munich in this game, or maybe a 2-1. So, like, Munta, what's your prediction for the game, and how do you see
And
it going?
to be honest, that could be the prediction as well because for me, like I said like out of these three score line it could be one, so 0-0, or 1-0 Bayern, and or 1-1 Atleti. So 1-1 Atleti. So I think I'm going with 1-1 Atleti. Yeah, 1-1. So that's all. I think so. You know what? Like this game is giving me vibes where again Atletico Madrid is getting some jammiest goal they will score
100%,
again,
yeah.
and then park the bus and like for the 90 minutes. I mean, Bayern would be like digging and so deep to get 1G, and finally they will get through some Goretzka, someone like that,
Mhm.
and that will end the game 1-1. I think so.
And I know we've talked about this like one-on-one like before, dude. Physicality and set pieces. I think like
Hmm.
like the game is going to be tactical and slow, but these two things are going to be kind of entertaining for people who like to see that kind of thing. I think it's going to be interesting to see because in terms of physical shape and in terms of size, these two teams are both right up there. Like I mean, and this the in terms of corners and like distant free kicks and stuff like that, the physical battle is going to be really intense. You've got Goretzka, you've got Llorente, you've got Saul, you've got like Koke in there. You have
Oh.
physical big bodies in Costa and Suarez. You've got like potentially Boateng, Lucas Hernandez. Both teams have an extremely high level of athleticism, fitness, and physicality, dude. And I think like corners, I think is going to be like they're going to lock each other up in corners. I don't think there's going to be goal from a corner unless there's some sort of defensive error or something like that. But it could be really interesting to see the physical battle in the midfield. For me, I think that's something I'm really looking forward to. Like, how
Hmm.
about you?
Yeah, like that's like a really by default nature of this game. Like
Mm-hmm.
nature will be the nature of this game. Like it's so physical. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have Goretzka from Bayern, you have like Saul from Atleti, like as you said. So I think so. Yeah, man. I mean, that would be really good. But one more thing I just want to add over here. I don't think so. Bayern can utilize their pace. I mean, their pace is like
Yes.
useless in
Yes.
this game.
Yes.
I don't think so. The pace
100%.
will make any difference for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, again, Lewandowski Muller's connection is really good, to be honest. So still, I don't think so. That will make a massive difference, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this game for me, as if I say 1-1 for both, to be honest. My prediction, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, for me, I think it's really gonna depend, on the lineup that Atletico chooses to employ. But I think it's gonna be a 1-1 because
Mm-hmm.
you look at Bayern Munich's defense and the high line they play, and just the way that they defend.
Mm-hmm.
Atletico's probably the most organized team defensively in the world. I don't think I can't think of any other team
Five
that would
hundred
really.
thousand percent. Yep.
Yeah, so the way like they're less likely to have chaos in the box. When you
Mm-hmm.
have crosses, they're like we saw them against Liverpool. I can't remember how many crosses they had to clear out in those two legs without causing that many defensive, headaches for the team. But you look at Munich, Sevilla were causing them problems with a few crosses they had. Like look at the penalty. I think it was Ocampos. I know he scored the penalty. I'm not sure if it was him who won the penalty, but it might have been Rakitic. But you look at that game and every cross, even when Bayern Munich cleared it, a lot of them were causing the defense problems. They were
Yeah.
causing them issues. And Atletico is the type of team that scores goals like that. You know, they shit house their way to goals.
They do.
So so Atletico Madrid can definitely take advantage, but at the same time, Bayern Munich have Lewandowski, they have Muller, they have Gnabry, they have Sane. I don't know, he might be on the bench, he might come on. I don't know what his situation is, but they have all these attacking threats. And All Black's gonna play the game of his life, but I don't think Atletico Madrid can keep this Bayern Munich team at 0 for the entire
Yeah.
game, especially if
I
they
don't
tend
think
to
so
somewhat
either. Yeah.
attack, which I think they will. So I think it's gonna be 1-1.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment, and that's a really good assessment. So we'll see how Bayern do their game against I think like this is an in joke amongst the people in the podcast, dude. But like the team they're playing is called Armenia, and like we'll see how well they do against Armenia like this weekend, dude. But like Armenia is not Atletico Madrid, so like I mean how even if they win big, how much does that really like mean? But then again, this is a group stage game, and neither is really going to be playing at their best. So I feel like a 1-1 draw is probably the best prediction. I feel Bayern can nick it just because of the home factor and the Thomas Muller factor. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. So we'll definitely do post matches for this because I feel like something funny is going to happen in one of these two games or both of them, and I feel like there's going to be quite a bit to talk about actually after the games. So we'll see like what happens. So does anybody have any final thoughts? The floor is open.
About Munich?
Yeah, just about anything that we talked about.
I guess not.
Mm.
No
All right,
one?
so let's
Nothing?
wrap it up then. Yep.
No one? Nothing? This is the last call? No? Everyone's silent? Okay.
Going once, going twice,
Alright.
gone.
No one speaking then. Okay. So, wow. That's it for today, guys, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been nice chatting with all of you. Hopefully the games will be exciting so we can have some, another nice discussion after the games. So
Yep.
yeah. So and again, the timestamps will be in the description if you watch the whole thing. If you made it this far, I'll just say it again. The timestamps are in the description. So yeah. So that's it from us. We'll see you next week for sure. And yeah. So bye everyone.